In this week's Torah portion, we discuss the laws of Saita. The case of a Saita is when a man suspects his wife of cohabiting with a specific man. So in order to take things into action, there's a two-step process, which involves one, something called kinoi. Kinoi is when the man warns his wife, I do not want you secluded with that specific man in a room together alone. The second step is called stira, where the husband has witnesses that caught the wife secluded in a room together alone with that specific man. And so in order to take things into action, we give her something called the Saita waters, the cursed waters, which she drinks. And those waters will determine if she actually cohabited with the man or didn't. And it's stated that all the mitzvahs and all the laws of Torah that we as the Jewish people perform, God himself performs. And so the law of Saita, how does that apply to God? So we know that us as the Jewish people are bonded to God by marriage. And so the kinoi, the warning of Saita by God, is God warning the Jewish people, La yelecha. You shall not have another God. You shall not serve another God. However, the stira, the seclusion, how does that make sense? We know that God sees everything. He's all-seeing and all-being and all-powerful. And so nothing can be hidden from him. So how are we able to seclude ourselves and hide from God? Like it says in Tehillim, Im yisasar ish ba'mistarim v'ani lo yarenu, which means a person will think, I will hide from God. And God says, v'ani lo yarenu, and I will not see him, surely I'll see him. So how does the case of stira, the case of seclusion, the case of hiding, make sense by God? So the answer is that God really does see everything. He's all-seeing and all-powerful. But he chooses not to see a specific type of person. And who is that person? In Hebrew, it's called a Baal Gaiva, which means someone that's haughty, full of himself. He thinks he is it. And it says about that person, God says, Ein ani v'hu yichaylim lader. Me and this Baal Gaiva, me and this haughty person are not able to live in the same place, in the same world. And so he chooses not to see this person. And that's how stira, that's how seclusion, that's how hiding could apply, because God chooses not to see, and God chooses for him to be hidden by him. And this is the translation of the pasuk in Tehillim, Im yisasar ish ba'mistarim v'ani lo yarenu. The person is saying, Im yisasar ish ba'mistarim, I will hide from God. How is this person going to hide from God? Va'ani, he's going to hold of himself like an I, like I am the greatest, I'm the best, being all haughty, being a Baal Gaiva. And what does God say? Lo yarenu, I will choose not to see him. I will choose for him to be hidden, because me and him cannot live in the same world. We continue on with the case of Saita, that we say that if the husband wants to retract his warning and wants to retract the state of his wife being a Saita, he's able to, as long as it's after the kinoi, as long as it's after the warning, but before the stira, before the seclusion. However, if it's after the stira, after the seclusion, he's not able to retract his warning. He's not able to retract the state of his wife being a Saita, because the stira is not up to him. The stira is up to his wife. The seclusion is up to his wife. And so he's not able to retract that. However, the kinoi, the warning, which is totally up to him, he's the one that gave the warning, he's able to retract. However, there's one case where the husband could retract the state of his wife being a Saita even after the seclusion. And the case is where the seclusion is totally not up to his wife. For example, the husband warns his wife, I do not want you in the same room as your father together alone, which is impossible for his wife to keep. Or, for example, I do not want you together in the same room as 100 people. That is impossible for his wife to keep. And so in that case, where the seclusion is totally not up to his wife, he's able to retract the state of his wife being a saita. And so we say that this exception of a husband being able to retract the state of a saita, even after stira, even after seclusion, is only before they erase the saita megillah. However, if they already erase the saita megillah in the saita waters, he cannot retract. So how do we apply this by God? By God, the kinoi, the warning, is totally up to him. And even the stira, even the seclusion is totally up to him, because he chooses not to see this haughty person, not to see this person that's full of himself. And God could always forgive you on this haughtiness, on this balgaivaness. But this is only if the Soita Megillah was not erased. Meaning, a Jew could serve God in two ways, where godliness is totally a part of him, and it can never be erased because he internalized it fully, and it's like it's engraved in him. Or he could do it as, I am serving God, I am one thing, and God is another. And in this way, where you have two separate entities, where it's not engraved, where it is written, it could be erased. And in this, you cannot be retracted. You cannot be forgiven. But you can only be forgiven in one way. It says that by a saita, if it's already after you erase the saita Megillah, she brings a carbon mincha, which is a carbon, a sacrifice, out of sa'ir, out of barley. What is barley? Barley is the lowest level food. It's the food of animals. So by a person serving God, where God and him are two separate entities, where he himself is haughty, he himself is the best, he himself is the greatest, and so the only way that he can be forgiven and it can be retracted is if he brings a sacrifice of barley. He puts himself on the level of an animal, of someone that does not have any seichel, that does not have any intellect, and he brings himself to a level, a bittul, of me nullifying myself and making myself null of everything, of all the haughtiness and all of the yeshus, all of the me being the greatest and the best. And through this, he can be forgiven. And through this, God will see him again. And through this, the saita state will be retracted. And not only will it be retracted, and not only will he be seen by God again, he'll be on an even higher level than he was before. Like we know by saita, that if the woman was proven innocent, it says that v'nizra zera, that she'll be extra fruitful, and she'll have multiple kids, many more kids, and not just more kids, till the sayin shel tzadikim, her kids will be tzadikim. And not just that, that betzar yeledes b'revach, that if she has any birth pains in the past, she'll not have any more birth pains at all. Meaning, if a Jew has a hard time, has pains doing Torah and mitzvahs and serving God, it will not be painful anymore if he retracts. To the extent that it says, "B'makim shebalei tshuva oimdim tzadikim gemorim ein yecholim lamid sham," that when he does tshuva, when he retracts, when he repents, he'll be on such a high level that even tzadikim gemorim, even the highest level of tzadikim, cannot even stand in the same place that he's standing. So what can we learn from this? I think the outtake is very powerful. And we know that when someone is in the state of he and Torah, he and mitzvahs, he and serving God are one, like it's engraved in him, even if he makes the error of stira, even if he makes the error of being a little bit haughty, we say that he's automatically forgiven and God could retract. But the second that he becomes two separate entities, even if he's serving God, he cannot retract. And so we could even apply it to our own lives. When we focus on something, whether it be work, whether it be family, focus on it entirely. Make it a part of you. Engrave it in you. And then even all the trial and error that you go through will not just be trial and error and will not cause you to fail. If anything, it will bring you up. It will make you higher than before. So let us all have the Torah, have the godliness engraved in us. And even if we do make a trial and error, let us make that error apply for our own benefit and use it to make us get to higher places that we were never able to reach before. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos.